Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. We got some breaking news on a Thursday, everybody. Leading into Memorial Day weekend, I did not think that we would be talking about a new WrestleMania location at the end of May. Remember that back in February, the same night that Rock, Dwayne Johnson, one of the weird promos ever, asked for Cody Rhodes' soul in one of the most ridiculous and weird exercises in power swinging and in any form that I've ever seen. And now looking back at this in retrospect, and believe me, I'm gonna tee off on the Rock in another point. But Rock said that WrestleMania 42 was going to be in New Orleans. Here we are, basically 3 months later, and WrestleMania is not happening in New Orleans. Joint statement from WWE, the New Orleans, I think it was the Athletic Commission. They basically said, "Yeah, this is not happening." As part of this, it wasn't really fully stated as to why this happened. There's a lot of speculation, and justifiably so, that this is about money. And I'm willing to tell you and willing to bet that this is absolutely about money, that New Orleans either did not have enough money or somebody came in with a last minute bid in the 11th hour. Granted, we are basically 11 months away from next year's WrestleMania, and basically said, "Hey, we're doing this. We're going to give you the X amount of dollars more than what New Orleans is going to give you." Maybe WWE went back to New Orleans and said, "Hey, can you do this? If not, we'll give you money in the bank." And they did. So, and they'll get another WrestleMania at another time. So, some people are speculating about security issues, which is justifiably, it's justifiably so that could be in the cards because of what happened with the whole terror attack that moved back the Sugar Bowl at the start of the year. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here that's really odd. Um, but from a big picture perspective, this is really unprecedented to have, because I know it was around the Kentucky Derby last year where we got the announcement that Vegas would host WrestleMania 41. But here we are. We already had a location announced. The Rock came out on television with a glitzed and glamour thing in New Orleans and told New Orleans, "Hey, you guys are getting WrestleMania." And now it's not happening. So for this to happen at this stage in the game, right before Memorial Day weekend, literally less than a year out, something crazy had to go down. So it leads me to believe that one of two things is going to happen. First of all, before we get to that, let me ease everybody's concerns. Saudi Arabia is not hosting WrestleMania 42. They'll probably host a WrestleMania in the next 3 to 5 years. But there's no way in hell that WWE is going to have the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania in the span of 3 months be in Saudi Arabia. That is a disaster. It's a PR nightmare. They'd get a crap ton of money, but that is not what's going on here. That is absolutely not what is going on here. Despite what everybody is indicating to you, Saudi Arabia has the Royal Rumble. That is the big four pay-per-view that they are going to get. Okay. It may be 2027 that they get it, 2028. I don't know. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I can tell you with 100% certainty that I would be flabbergasted and floored and stunned if WrestleMania 42 was emanating from Saudi Arabia in 2026. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's either going to happen in London or it's going to be a North American city. Some people are saying Orlando because they got a huge grant. Um, but I honestly think that this is heading towards. I think we're getting WrestleMania in London. I think that's really what this is about. I think London really wanted, like, we had heard rumors that London was potentially in the cards for this year because they met last year. Nick Khan, the mayor of London, and Triple H all met to hype this up. John Cena came out in London a couple years ago, basically pleading, "Hey, let's do WrestleMania big in here." It would be almost ironic that they do WrestleMania the year after he retires in London, but I think that that's what's going to happen. It may go back to Arlington. I don't think it's not going to go back to LA. It could go to a big city that has a ton of money, but I really and truly believe that what we're heading towards, if they were going to do something at this stage in the game, number one, it was going to have to be for an inordinate sum of money. Somebody was going to have to come in with a offer that WWE couldn't refuse, because One of the biggest faults with TKO right now is I think they're way too much about the money and not about the actual product. And that's really started to show be a detriment to WWE. But they they're not going to back out of a commitment that they made and made very public, by the way. Used TV time on their show with a board of directors member in The Rock, and now that's been rendered insignificant. Again, I will talk about how insignificant The Rock is to WWE at this point, because that was the other part of this that we need to get into. We'll do that at another time. But to me, you're either selling out for money and getting more money, and that's why New Orleans is getting left out in the cold, or you're doing something historic. And if you're doing something historic, that means you're going overseas. And as I said, they're not going to Saudi Arabia. So to me, what this screams to me is WrestleMania 42 is going to emanate from London, England. Or if for those of you Austin Powers fans, London, England. That's where it's going to emanate from. I think it's going to go to Wembley Stadium. They're going to sell 90,000 tickets, and they're going to go to AEW and say, F you guys. We really got 90,000 people into the stadium when you guys couldn't. So I think that's what this is about. I think I think London is getting desperate. They really want to make this happen. And I think they get an offer that they didn't refuse. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Orlando, although I've heard there's been some stadium issues with the former Citrus Bowl, now known as Camping World Stadium, although Vince McMahon didn't want to call it Camping World Stadium the last time they were there. So, but Vince McMahon's not there. It's Camping World Stadium. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head of what else could jump out to me as a potential idea. Atlanta, maybe, I don't know, but it's just like you're looking into these. The other possibility before I go is Indianapolis, Indiana. They just hosted the Royal Rumble. They have a huge deal where they were basically essentially promised a WrestleMania at Lucas Oil Stadium, in large part because Pat McAfee kind of brokered that deal. Indianapolis, maybe that's what's in the cards here. And doing it at Lucas Oil Stadium, they did a really good job with the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be in North America or it's going to be in London. That's to me what this is. I mean, some people may throw it to Toronto. I don't think that's going to happen. But based off of everything that I've been able to divulge myself into for the last couple hours since this news came out, I really think that we are heading towards the first ever overseas WrestleMania and the first ever non-North American WrestleMania in the history of this event that now would be on its 42nd edition of it. So it not going to be like one of those people who say they did WrestleMania 25 and they called it the 25th anniversary, which was just not accurate. But this will be the 42nd edition of this show. And listen, it's just a wild sequence of events to have this happen right before a holiday, right before a bunch of special events are happening this weekend in the world of professional wrestling. And to do this 3 months after you made a very public announcement to have this in the city, to back out of it now, it's either something's wrong with New Orleans, WWE got a bunch of money offered to them, or their WWE has something bigger planned. And I think what's happening here is they're going to go to London. So we'll see if that's been proven true, and we'll see if we'll get an announcement relatively soon. You'll hear it here, and we'll have the immediate reaction to that. Again, I'll talk about The Rock in another video shortly because, man, it's not a good look for him either. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Bye.